To help you understand the basics of HTML and to appreciate that you can actually create HTML documents in any text editor, I recommend that for this lesson, you actually open a program like Notepad or SimpleText. On most PCs, you'll find Notepad under the Accessories option in your Programs list. On most Macs, you're likely to have SimpleText. You can always do a find to try and find it. Don't try and substitute Microsoft Word. It has a bunch of built-in HTML features that can get in the way, and I really just want you to see a simple text document. If you don't have either of those programs, or you already have Dreamweaver open and you want to just follow along, choose File, New, and create a regular text file. So go to Other and just choose Text. And this will create just a completely plain text document. For this lesson, I want you to type exactly what I type into this text document. Now, I promise we won't do a lot of typing because I know that can be a little tedious, but I find it really powerful for people to actually create their own simple text document with HTML and see that it really does work. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to put this in my project files. I'm in Chapter 9, and there is a sample site we'll be using in a moment called HTML site, but I'm just going to call this myhtml.txt, and I'm not even going to save it in that site folder. You can save your file on your desktop if you prefer. It really doesn't matter, but you need to be able to find it to preview it in a browser in a moment. So the first tag that I want you to type is this, bracket, HTML, bracket. So that's those little caret-looking brackets. You have an open and a close bracket. All HTML tags start with an open tag like this and end with a close tag that looks very similar but has a slash mark. So let me just show you bracket, slash, HTML, slash would be the close tag. And at its most basic, this is an HTML tag that identifies this page as an HTML page. And everything in between these will make up my HTML page. By the way, people used to type HTML in lower or uppercase letters, and in the early days, it really didn't matter. But today, because Dreamweaver follows the XHTML standard, and that is the recommended option on the web, you must use all lowercase to stick within the XHTML standard. The next thing after the HTML tag in any good web page is the head tag. And it's literally HEAD, again set off in brackets, and again with a closing corresponding head tag. And when I say closing tag, I always mean the same tag or a very similar one. There are a few exceptions to the tags are exactly the same in open and close rule. Almost all of them are exactly the same, except this / indicates the close tag. In between the head tag, you'll find things like the title tag. And you can actually go ahead and type a title for your page. So you can type something like, this is my title, close title. Remember, the title is what appears at the very top of your web browser. And if we were using Dreamweaver's design view, you could type the title into the title field here at the top of the workspace. But in the code, it's a title, close title tag that identifies the title. After this close head tag, you'll have what's called the body tag. And all of the elements of your page that will actually display in a web browser need to be contained between the body and, you guessed it, the close body tag. So this is at its most fundamental what a web page requires. And you can see now how most web pages are broken into at least two sections. The head section, which displays lots of things that don't actually show up in a browser, like JavaScript and internal style sheets, are all stored within those open and close head tags. Whereas anything that will actually appear on the page, like text that you want to display in your browser, should appear between these two body tags. So now you can actually type any text you want, and it will display in a browser when we open this page. So let's type something like, I'm not afraid of the code anymore. Okay, you can type whatever you want there. You can type I love chocolate if you prefer, but my goal here, again, is just to help you understand the basics. So for kicks and grins, let's save this page, open it up in a web browser, and just see what it looks like. Now, before we can preview this, like any other page, we have to save it. And because we're not going to use Dreamweaver's preview option, we're not going to preview it using the preview button, we need to save it ourselves first. And now let me point out something else. This is a plain text file, so it's named .txt. But if we want this to be a web page, it still has to be named .html. If you work on a Macintosh, you may not even be used to using extensions because outside of Pages for websites, you generally don't even need extensions on a Macintosh, which is one of the reasons files moved from a Mac to a PC sometimes don't open properly. Because on a PC, you have to have an extension for every file on the system in order for the Windows operating system to recognize what kind of file it is. In web design, file extensions are vitally important. So in order for this to really work as an HTML page, it has to have a .html extension, like all the other HTML pages we've created, instead of a .txt, even though it's just a plain text file. So let's go ahead and use Save As, change that extension to HTML. You can use the same name for the file. As soon as you give it a different extension, it's technically a different file, and click Save. Dreamweaver now instantly recognizes this as an HTML file, but we can now go and view it in a web browser directly without using the preview option in Dreamweaver. I'm just command tabbing on the Mac, or if you're on a PC, alt tabbing over to Firefox. You can use Safari, you can use Internet Explorer, any web browser should be able to open a simple HTML file like the one we just created. You simply choose File, Open File, and you can open any document on your hard drive. You want to make sure you choose the one with the .html extension that you just created. Choose Open, and you can see I'm not afraid of the code anymore. If we switch back to Dreamweaver, and we go to Code View, you can see your simple little HTML page displayed perfectly in that web browser.